Okay, so to start, you will need to have BepInEx downloaded. You can do this either manually or through a mod manager like R2Modman. I personally have it downloaded by R2Modman, but it really doesn't matter. Both ways will work fine. All you need to do in both ways is find your BepInEx folder and see where plugins and config are both in. In this case, in R2Modman, for example, it's inside profiles, the name of your profile, BepInEx, and there you have plugins and config. And you can open up, if you have R2Modman, you can go to settings and browse data folders. I won't go into depth about how to install BepInEx. That's for you to figure out. Next, you will need to download my model replacement mod. You will find a link to the description that will take you to this. Go into releases, go into the latest released, and download the zip file. Next, you need to go into this other link in the description, go into code, and again, download the zip file. You will also need a model. I will be using this Mixamo model. It doesn't need any like required skeleton. As long as your model like moves, it should work fine. This method, that is. Anyways, we need to now grab the zip file, the second one you downloaded, the one that's named this, and you need to extract it into a folder, like so. Make sure that when you open up the folder, it looks like this. Otherwise, Unity will not open it, because as we're going to do next, we're going to open this folder with Unity. We're going to open, we go into downloads, tutorial, that's where I downloaded the file. I'm going to open it up. It will start opening it up. If you do not have this version of Unity installed, 2021.3.27, it will prompt you to install it. So you should be good on that front, and this will take a while to open. So meanwhile, we're going to open up Blender or any modeling app of your choice. And we're going to go to File, Import, and we're going to import our model. Go to Tutorial, here we go. Here it is. Because this is a Mixamo model, if you go into the Shading tab, you'll see that it's fully textured, and your model might not have this. Your model might come with the textures separate. The process does change a bit if it does. You also need to make sure that your model only has one material. There is a Blender plugin to make sure that your model that combines your many materials into one. But I haven't used it, so I cannot teach you how to use it. Anyways, once you have your model loaded up, go into Armature, rename this to Mesh. You rename in Blender by pressing F2 and changing it, or you can just double click and make sure both things named Armature, just in case, are renamed to Root. Now go into your bones and rename a couple bones. First of all, in the leg, you need to find the left foot and rename it to foot L for foot left. In your right foot, you need to rename it to foot R for foot right. And in your spine, you need to go into your hands and do the same basically. Hand R and hand L. Next, you go into your head and you rename it to head. And we are done. Now we select the skeleton and the model. We're going to File, we're going to Export FBX. And I'm going to export it into the same folder here. I'm going to rename it to, let's say, rename. Here in path mode, if you have embedded textures, like I do, we're going to do copy. I'm going to click on this, which keeps the textures embedded, basically. Limit to selected objects. We're going to use none of those. We are going to disable leaf bones because I hate leaf bones. I'm going to export the FBX. And in our tutorial folder, we have more file ready to go. So now Unity must have been opened, and it will look something like this. Make sure you double click the model showcase scene and drag your renamed FBX into Unity. It will look something like this. Since my model has embedded textures, I can just click on Extract Textures, select folder. Since it has a normal map, I'll tell it fix now. It will change the type of this to normal map. and my model looks fine now. Next, we need to go to rig. The animation type, we need to set it to humanoid. We click apply. The read write under meshes, read write must be turned on. So click this and click apply. And then we need to go into our character prefab and we need to drag and drop our character into it. It will look something like this. Now we need to go into here, right click, prefab, unpack. We need to drag this into the character base, and we need to delete this. And so far so good. Make sure that in here, on the animator, the avatar is set to the same name as your character. In this case, mine is named CH20 non blah blah blah. So we click on it. And as a test, we can go back and click on play. And our little guy should be dancing. And it is. That means the bones are set up correctly. Now that we have our prefab here, we need to add some items for the game to work correctly. These are these three, which are under the folder called Add These to the Model. Go into here, and you need to place these in specific places. The jetpack is from where the jetpack visual effects will come from. So I'll put them in spine 2 here. Blop. It has some visual markers. It doesn't spawn, like, from here spawns the effect when you jump, from here should spawn the effect when you boost forward, but I found out it actually spawns like way behind, so I'm gonna go ahead and move this way ahead so that it looks nicely. Did I put this correctly? No, I put this in spine 1. It needs to go in spine 2 for it to look. You can put it anywhere really, but I like to put it in spine 2 because it looks like it's actually coming from the back. Next, we need to go into the shoulders, into the hands, which should be renamed, and we need to put prop R into the hand R and prop L into the hand L, like so. These are equivalent to where your character will hold stuff like the spray can or the phone when they open it. So they need to be rotated for it to hold these things properly. To do this and to see how it looks, you need to go into references and you will see these meshes. You can just drag and drop, for example, prop left, the character always holds the phone on his left hand, so we can just drag and drop the phone there. And this is a preview how the phone will look if you keep it like it is right now. So we need to move it. Make sure you're moving this. Make sure you're not selecting this and moving this, because if so, nothing will change. You need to be moving this and just move it around. If you find the text saying prop L a bit too annoying, you can go up here and change this to none. And oh my god, we just move this. Be careful because sometimes you click on this and it takes you directly to the mesh. You do not want that. You want to move the base. And we now just position the phone. Gonna take a bit. Hold on. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's good enough. Next, we need to do the spray can, which for that we need to go. Oh, make sure to delete the phone mesh after you're done by just click on it and deleting it. You can just right click and click delete, or you can press backspace. We're gonna do the same for our right hand, but we're gonna use the spray can. Now for the spray can, you will see that in the model there is a little nozzle here. From the nozzle, the actual effect of the white smoke will come out. So make sure you're aiming it towards where your hand is aiming. Otherwise you might get like your character shooting smoke behind them or something. Move this a bit, move this a bit. Again, make sure you're moving prop R and not the actual mesh. And that looks fine. We now delete the mesh too. And now these are properly set up. Awesome. Righto. And with that, we are basically done. Next, we need to go back. Again, let's just check that our character still dances. Yep, it still does. And now we need to go here, and we need to go into each of these and set, okay, hold on, the actual taskbar. you'll see this under it. Right now my dashboard was blocking it, but you'll see this on the bottom. You need to change this into a character asset, this into asset. Do the same for all the textures, do the same for the model itself. And that is it. This will also have it. Now that you have all this set up, you can right click and click on Build Asset Bundles. Give it a second. There we go. We now have asset bundles. We can right click and show in Explorer. It will open up where you have your Unity branches set up. You can just double click to open the folder and you'll see these two files. The only one that matters to you is this one. Okay, we now have our character ready to import into the game. We now need to install the mod for it to work. So go back into where you downloaded the mod, right click and put it in a folder, just like before. As you can see, it automatically includes the WebNX folder plugins. So all you really need is to, in the case of having WebNX installed in the base of your game, just go into here, and just drag and drop. As you can see, you go into plugins, you'll now have a model replacement folder. And if you have this installed like that, you just go into the WebNX folder and Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V the same. And you should now have this in the plugins folder. Now that we have this in the plugins folder, we will be copying this file and pasting it here. Now that we have that, we need to launch our game once. I'm going to do this to R2 Modman. Waiting for it. Once the game has loaded, we need to close it. Like that. And we need to go back into the WebNX folder and go into config. You will see these files. You need to edit the one called model replacement.cfg. Opening the game generated this file. So basically, we now have the settings page. Here, if you open this file in your web browser, you will see a image showing you which character has which ID. The IDs aren't correct. This is actually one number less. So if you wanted to change red, it's not 4, the number you gotta put in, it's 3. So you go back to your settings and you change this to 3. This is the rotation of the skates. Depending on your model, the forward direction of the character's feet might not be set correctly. I'll show that later too. For when that happens, you need to go again into your prefab, go into here, go into hips, and go into any leg, any feet. And you need to, not this, hold it, references, because this is the right feet, we're gonna add the right skate to it. And as you can see, in this case, it's not set up correctly at all. Oh, hold on, I said it wrong. There we go. No, also not wrong. Scoot right must be under foot right, and you will see it looks like this. To make, when you load up the game, the skates will look like this. To make them look correct, rotate this on the Z-axis until it looks fine. Depending on the model, you might need to rotate it like backwards or forwards. In my case, I need to rotate it exactly like 90, let's say. Yeah, 90 looks fine. So 90, I copy this and I paste this into here. And this, if you know about shaders and stuff, you can set this to true, but because I don't, I'm gonna keep this false. Make sure to save the file, and once the file is saved, we can finally open up our game. And when we change to red, which I think I might be in a hideout, so I might need to go into a dance floor real quick. Here we go. Do a little jig. And let's look for red. And there we go. It's in the game. He looks quite small, which isn't a problem. As you can see, the skates look pretty good. That looks fine. The phone looks good. Let's see if the selfie cam works. A little bit, yeah. As good as it does in the original game. If your character is too small, like it is for me right now, you can go back into... You need to quit the game, of course, first. Go back into Unity here. Here, delete the skate right after you tested it. and you need to go into here. Again, double click here, and you need to click on this topmost one. As you can see right now, it's in 0.6. I'm gonna change it to like 1. And we're gonna right click, build asset bundles. I'm gonna get the asset bundle here, which should, once it's done. I'm gonna Control C this, go back into our mod folder. Here we go, Control V. And we can open it up. And as you can see, it now looks pretty good, size-wise. These gates look fine. That looks fine. It's a little bit big. You can, again, adjust the size doing what I just did. But there we go. We now have our character in the game.